Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio College Basketball Closing Time Show for Thursday, January 28th. Ian Cameron and Conor Mack ready to break down this Thursday slate. Not a big slate today on the Thursday board compared to what we've had in other weeks that we've done this show, but there are a few interesting games, lots of Ohio Valley, lots of Conference USA, couple AAC games, couple Big Ten games, a couple Pac-12 games. So that's the West Coast Conference. Those are kind of the conferences that dominate the Thursday night schedule. So we'll break it all down for you right here. We'll start with Oregon State taking on USC, Pac-12 action, late afternoon tip-off here. USC 12-point home favorites, 135 the total. I would fear a little bit for Oregon State going into this game against USC simply because USC, only one of their two losses in conference play, a stunning loss, 58-56 at Oregon State as 10-point favorites in that game. So a revenge spot for the better team. And like I say, when it's a revenge spot for what I think is the better team, I'm not looking to bet the other, in this case, Oregon State. I would expect USC to have focus that maybe they didn't have the first go around against Oregon State. I would expect USC to kind of flex their muscles a little bit here in this game, be able to get the win. I also think this game could get over the total. You've seen Oregon State. They've had some really rough defensive performances throughout the course of the season. We saw them give up 98 to Arizona, 81 to Stanford, 79 to Arizona State. That was an anomaly, the 56 they gave up, I think, against USC. It's been a really rough go for them defensively. They had a shocking win their last time out against Oregon, 75-64, give them credit. But to me, Oregon State might be walking into a tough spot here against USC. I would lean to the Trojans. I didn't bet it because of the -12. That's that's a hefty number, but I do like the over a little bit here in this game with 135. What's your thoughts here, Oregon State, USC?
I lean the other way. I don't know if, Oregon State's really for real. I just know they're playing better basketball, and 3 straight wins. So 1-point win over Arizona State, the game against SC, and then to go to Oregon, they won that game start to finish. They kept the lead. That wasn't a fluky game. I watched the second half of it. I thought Oregon was going to make a run. Nope. Yeah, SC's got the revenge here. Just think it's too many. I'm going to have a small one on Oregon State and the points. I lean towards the over. I think, there might be a little more points in that first matchup.
Yep.
So I maybe get over this total, but I didn't play it. Just lean the over.
Yeah, I definitely think USC will shoot better than 20 of 48. They have been a good offensive team in conference play, looking more and more like that was just a one-off. Because you look at their other games, 95-85, especially at home, 95-85. They've scored big points at times here on their home floor, especially as of late. They had 76 against Cal on the road in their last game, and Cal plays slow, so they have shot the ball. That was the one game that it's inexplicable how they shot so poorly in that game against Oregon State. So I think they will be better at that end of the floor here. We got Wyoming and San Diego State. Aztecs 15.5-point home favorites here. The total 141 pretty much across the board. I like the direction that Wyoming is going to go in. 10-5 on the season so far for this Cowboys team. They've been solid, and they've definitely made progress under Jeff Linder, playing good ball. I think it's damn impressive. They swept Nevada 2 straight games. Now, it was in Laramie, both of those games, but to beat Nevada twice in a row, pretty impressive stuff. The question is, can they do it here on the road against San Diego State? San Diego State just pummeled Air Force back-to-back games. Prior to that, they had lost 2 straight against Utah State. But you look at the Nevada game, they played Nevada. They only won by 5 at home, and they won by 2 at home. So you worry a little bit about San Diego State catching this kind of number. The problem is there's a huge class difference defensively between these two teams. I like Wyoming's ability to score, but they're still a little bit suspect on the defensive end of the court. When you look at their games against good competition in this conference, they gave up 83 and 90 to Boise State at home. They gave up 88 in their last game to Nevada. So the defensive end of the court worries me a little bit here for Wyoming in this game. San Diego State's been kind of burning money, though, as double-digit home favorites lately. So I do think there's a tinge of point spread value here with Wyoming. That would be the lean for me, but not probably going to pull the trigger. I just think that the defensive discrepancy is big enough that If that shows up again here, the game could at some point get away from San Diego State, because I also think Wyoming, as well as they've shot the ball at times, going up against one of the better defensive teams here in the Mountain West could be tougher sledding for them. But I definitely would lean slightly to the Wyoming side, because I do think the number's pretty lofty for San Diego State. C-Mac, what do you think about this one?
Okay, real quick. I just wanted to double check something. Yeah, they got a few injuries. I was looking at Jansen, just Wyoming. I think it's a ton of points. San Diego State's really healthy. I mean, Mitchell is back, right? He's ready to roll. Their defense is really good. I think there's a tad bit of value in Wyoming, just at 15.5. It's a ton of points. But you're right. This one could get out of hand. Maybe at the end. I might have a small play on Wyoming plus the points. I think it's a ton. They just haven't played well against better competition. They've had some good wins. Those two games against Reno, surprised. They were able to play so well in both. So I think there's a little bit value. They played Air Force, blew them out, and San Diego State's blew out teams a little bit in the last year or two, but I never thought them as a team that beats teams by 25 regularly. So I think there's a little value in Wyoming. A small bet on them plus 15.5.
Yeah, Kenny Foster, Jansen's the big injury for Wyoming.
Yeah.
Out indefinitely, knee injury, double-digit score. In fact, his best games were just recently, the last 3. He scored double figures in 3 straight, 13 against Air Force, 15 against Nevada, 11 in the rematch against Nevada. And now you take him out, and now you got a little bit more limited options offensively. So that's part of the reason why I'm only leaning toward Wyoming. I do think they could cover, though, because, again, you're not seeing San Diego State doing well in this double-digit role the last few times that they have been in it. UTEP, Texas San Antonio, next game on the slate. We've got UTSA 2.0 favorites, 145.5 the total. UTSA is very, very erratic. I'm not laying points with this team. In fact, I'd lean UTEP a little bit. I like the over as well. I mean, UTEP to me has got a better offensive team. This is a team that can shoot the ball. UTSA still has a very, very poor defense as far as I'm concerned. I think UTEP, if this is a close game, it should be, can make those stops that UTSA can't. I do think you give UTEP a little bit of a defensive edge. I love the backcourt, of this UTSA team. They've got an outstanding backcourt. There's no question about that. But again, sometimes turnover prone. The lapses defensively still bother me with this Roadrunners team. So I like the dog here, and I like there to be points scored, pretty much like in every UTSA game, especially when you get UTSA totals in the mid 140s like this. That's pretty low for them. They play fast tempo, not much defense. So I like UTEP here +2, and I like over 146. What do you think of this one, Connor?
Yeah, this one's tough. I lean with UTEP getting the points. Both teams, talk about erratic. Wins and losses, lopsided. Just UTEP, they beat La Tech and got lost by 18. They lost to North Texas by 30. Then they came back and lost by 10. And the Roadrunners have been up and down all year as well. There'd only be one way to look. UTEP cashed for me a few tickets early in the season. I don't think they're playing as good a ball right now, but I'd lean with them catching the couple points here.
All right, we've got next up on the slate, Michigan State, Rutgers, Big Ten action. Rutgers 2.5-point home favorites, 141 the total. Maybe is Rutgers ready to reboot their season and go on a run? They might be. This was a team that was reeling, in free fall, not playing good basketball, and Steve Peichel's team finally stopped the bleeding after a 5-game losing streak with a road win at Indiana, 74-70, winning outright as underdogs in that game. It was a very good spot. I didn't bet Rutgers in that game, and I felt I should have, but because they were struggling so much, I stayed off it. But to me, them catching 5.5 points at Indiana, I'm like, that's way too many points for this Indiana team to be laying, and it proved that way. I'm going to buy in on Rutgers here. I took the money line instead of -2.5. The money line's around -145. I think they can win the game here. Remember, they're still in the rack, a very tough team to win on their home floor. And they had one of their worst games of the season, Rutgers, against Michigan State. I remember it well. They had one of those games where they just could not make a shot. It was a dreadful, hideous offensive game for Rutgers in that 68-45 loss, 18 of 59 shooting. I think they have a chance to turn it around and bounce back here. I also think it's an advantage for Rutgers that Michigan State's coming off a COVID shutdown and a COVID hiatus where they haven't played in 20 days. And now you got to go on the road against a Rutgers team that I think will be chomping at the bits, quite honestly, to play Michigan State again after what happened to them in East Lansing earlier this season. And I get the sense that, look, this is a talented basketball team that Rutgers has. And for some reason, they went through a little funk. Maybe it's the rigors of the Big Ten. You're just going to have one of those periods of the season where things just don't go well and you don't play well. But I think with Omoruyi and with Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr., this is a really talented group. They just got into a swoon. They finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel with the Indiana win. I think that's legit momentum, confidence that they can carry over into this game. So Rutgers just to win the game for me. I took them on the money line minus 145. If you want to lay the 2.5, I wouldn't talk you out of it. But just in case we get one of these 1-2 point games that Rutgers just sneaks it out, I decided to be a little bit more conservative with the money line instead on Rutgers. C-Mac, what do you think here? Spartans, Scarlet Knights.
I'm with you. I took Rutgers on Sunday, and they came up big. They're healthy. No one's out. No one's hurt. No COVID. I think they cover here today. I got a minus 2.5. And for most on the total, I lean towards the over. When Rutgers wins, the game goes over for the most part. They get into the mid 70s. But this one, I'm pumping the brakes. I think it might. I don't love it as much. I think this one could maybe stay under. But I'm definitely with you. If you feel a little like you're saying, take Rutgers money line, and want to lay whatever it is, 130, 140. But I think they can cover the 2.5. They got to do it now. I think they went through that kind of lull in their schedule, a few bad losses, but they were against good teams, Illinois and Iowa, top teams. But now healthy, they should get back. I think they win tonight and cover. They want this revenge game. That Michigan State, I watched the whole thing. It was horrible. They played so bad. So I think they get it back tonight. I'm on Rutgers, minus 2.5.
Right, next up, we got Louisiana Tech taking on, Southern Miss. Yeah, Louisiana Tech, Southern Miss. The Bulldogs, 7-point road favorites, 131 the total. Yeah, I was looking at this game earlier, and there's some performance patterns that are worth noting. First of all, Louisiana Tech in the first games of these back-to-back road games in conference play, Western Kentucky, UTEP, they lost both of those, and then they bounced back and won the second. Whereas you look at Southern Miss at home, they've won the first of the back-to-back for the most part. They beat UTEP in overtime. They beat Middle Tennessee 84-54. In fact, they swept Middle Tennessee at home. Southern Miss had a really tough start to the year, but they're playing much better now, and especially on their home floor, they played pretty good. They swept Middle Tennessee. They split with UTEP, including an overtime win. Yeah, on the road, it's been tough sledding for them. They lost to UTSA 2 in a row. They lost to UAB 2 in a row. But at home, they've been pretty decent. And then you flip it around, Louisiana Tech on the road at times, not quite as reliable, including the last time against UTEP, where, as I mentioned, they lost. I don't doubt that Louisiana Tech's the better team here, but, you're laying a sizable number here with Louisiana Tech. I haven't bet the game, but I'm leaning to this home dog here a little bit. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles getting the 7. What do you think, Connor, in this matchup?
I'm right with you. The Tech's had a few players out, this Bass, and they do 2 guards. And they don't know. They're not saying what it is. I'm guessing it's COVID, but they're questionable. I don't think they played tonight. I like Tech early on during the year. I cashed a few tickets. I thought they were playing good basketball. Kind of with these guys out, they haven't played well, and on these back-to-backs, I'd give a slight one. I think I'm going to have a small play on Southern Miss here. I'm going to take the points with them at home, get them plus 7.
I agree.
Is it 6.5 now?
7.
Sorry. Oh, it's still 7's cool. Okay, yeah. I still like it at 7. Yeah, definitely.
All right, liking the 7 here with Southern Miss against Louisiana Tech. Memphis and SMU. We've got SMU 4-point home favorites, 142 the total. I cashed with the over in the first meeting a couple days ago in Memphis between these two teams. Memphis continuing to roll. They got the win in the cover. Look, Memphis is, again, they're on a roll right now. I don't want to bet against them, but obviously this is a much different spot. They played a lot of games lately. Now they're going on the road. SMU, short turnaround revenge here for the Mustangs after losing to the Tigers. So I think there's still value on the Memphis side, but from a spot perspective, And with SMU looking to avenge the loss the other night, I'm going to stay off the side. I do like the over again because I think there's residual value with overs with Memphis because they had that period of time when they were struggling where they were barely hitting the 60s in points scored. They found their offense the last several games, during this hot streak. The Wichita game, their shooting came to life, and that carried over against East Carolina. They shot the ball relatively well against SMU in the win 2 days ago. SMU games are routinely getting into the 140s in terms of points. So nothing on the side, but cashed with the over on Tuesday with these teams. I'm going to ride it one more time here with SMU and Memphis over 142. C-Mac, what do you like here in this game?
I'm with you. I got to lean the over a bit because SMU is an over team. And like you said, ever since Penny went with this, kind of change it up offense, he didn't really say what it was, just 3 or 4 games. They haven't been playing any games in the, in the high 50s, low 60s. So I have to lean the over too. I haven't played it yet. I think it might be close, but I think get up and over the total again. And I think 4 is a little much. I think SMU should get this one. Memphis got the last one, but not laying 4. I think this one, it could still be tight. If this was just a pick 'em or 1, maybe look to SMU, but at 4, I'm worried. I think this one will be tight again. I mean, it was a 4-point game. Memphis win just the other day. I wouldn't be too strong laying 4 with Southern Miss right here. You good? You on mute?
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. Bradley and Valpo. Bradley 5.5-point road favorites. Total 131 in this game. You can give Valpo credit for 2 wins in a row to snap the losing streak against Illinois State, who are just as bad, if not worse, than Valparaiso. I'm not going to give them credit for it. Big deal. Illinois State's had a way down year. It's not the same. Redbirds are usually, one of the contenders in the Missouri Valley Conference. That ain't the case this year. It's not a good Illinois State team. Valpo beat a bad basketball team. That's pretty much all they did. Big deal. You look at home, they've been awful. Look at these home results in conference play. Blown out by Missouri State by double digits twice, and then they get just absolutely steamrolled by Loyola Chicago, the class of the conference, 75-39. Bradley, bounce back spot for them. They just played that rambling Loyola Chicago team and lost by 7 and lost by 13. But the second meeting against Loyola Chicago, first of all, in the first game, they got down by like 22-12, 22-2, something like that early in the game. And for them to bounce back and cut that lead to actually single digits at one point was very impressive. And then the last game, they actually could have, maybe even should have beat Loyola Chicago. They just crumbled down the stretch, Bradley, and they end up losing by 7. But they gave Loyola Chicago one hell of a battle in that game. I think it's a get well, get right spot for Bradley at a very reasonable price. I'm laying the wood here on the road, 5.5 with the Bradley Braves. C-Mac, what do you think here?
I agree with you. I think it's a get right game. I'm not impressed just because Valpo beat, Illinois State a few times. So the first game, like they got behind against Loyola Chicago. And the second game, they got to push because I put out 6. I got 7 at push. They had the lead in that, and they crumbled in the second half. Bradley, but I think they're better than Valpo here. I think it's kind of a short line. I think they can cover. I'm right with you. I'm laying the 5.5 with Bradley in this one.
All right, laying the 5.5 as well. We agree there. Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona, Northern Colorado Bears, 5-point road favorites in this one. Total in this game around 132.5. This is, to me, I would look Northern Colorado here. In this one, we talked about Northern Colorado, I believe, last Thursday, when we did these college basketball closing time shows. They're a weird team in that they've been a point spread machine on the road, and they've been a bad point spread team at home. Well, now you got Northern Colorado on the road, and that's where you want Northern Colorado right now. They've been good from a point spread standpoint on the road, beat Idaho twice, covered against them twice on the road, covered twice against Montana, the Grizzlies on the road, split from a straight-up perspective, but they cashed both of those times. And meanwhile, you look at Northern Arizona, who are starting to perk up a little bit ATS-wise. They've been the exact opposite. Money makers on the road, disaster area point spread-wise at home. So you got a good road point spread team, a hideous home point spread team, The good point spread road team's Northern Colorado. The hideous home point spread team is Northern Arizona. I think you lay it here with Northern Colorado. They've been good on the road. They're still a better team than Northern Arizona. They've been a little bit better lately, NAU, the Lumberjacks, but they're facing a really good Northern Colorado squad who I think gets the job done and can not only win the game, but win by enough of a margin to cash this ticket here. C-Mac, what do you think? Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona?
I'm with you. I just haven't leaned. I haven't bet yet, but I'm with you. I think Northern Colorado's a better team, but it's at 5.5. These are kind of the lines, like that Bradley one. I feel confident. This one, not Northern Arizona's played a little bit better from their rough start, and it's been their defense. They've had 4 or 5 straight unders, so I worry about it. It's just a lean with Northern Colorado, but I think it could maybe get up and over this total. Northern Colorado's, they can score more. They've been scoring the last few. It's just the lean. I'd lean the over, and Northern Colorado -5. Just that 5 number scares me just a tad bit of covering this number. But I think they're the better team, and they've been better on the road, like you said. So Northern Colorado for me.
All right, so Northern Colorado lean for C-Mac there. TCU and North Texas and Rice has been postponed. That's a shame. That was a game I liked the over in, and really actually was one of my stronger overs today was that one, and it's been postponed. So another one bites the dust. What else is new? Welcome to the COVID-19 world. On we go, TCU and Kansas. Kansas 14.5 point home favorites, 136.5 the total in this game. Kansas certainly, and Fran Fraschilla, who I think is one of the best. He's one of the absolute best when it comes to an analyst on television when it comes to college basketball. He's fantastic. I think he does a great job. He said something really good the other on Saturday during that Oklahoma-Kansas game. Of course, Kansas losing on the road against the Sooners 75-68, which is now 3 losses in a row for the Jayhawks against Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Oklahoma. Kansas is like a middle of the pack Big 12 team right now based on where they are in the standings. How crazy is that? We're not used to seeing that. But he said the recruiting issues have taken a hit with Kansas the last couple of years. The recruiting's not been as good. They have good players. They don't have those program-defining players. He's absolutely right. That's what this team is like. They're a workman-like team, a nice little team, good players, not great. Not that top of the upper echelon recruit, that they've been getting in years past. I think that's what we're seeing from this Kansas team. And they've lost 3 in a row, albeit the competition's been pretty tough. Oklahoma State on the road is always a tough game. At Baylor goes without saying. And Oklahoma, keeps getting better as the Big 12 season goes. So there's really not a bad loss in that mix now for Kansas. Now they return home. Now they face this just god-awful TCU team that hasn't played in 16 days. They've had some games canceled with COVID. They've been blown out 3 straight but remember, Kansas earlier this season at TCU won 93-64. And then after that, they lost 67-49 TCU to Baylor. They lost 82-46 at Oklahoma, like non-competitive here. Kansas has to be in a spot where even though this is not the best Bill Self Kansas team, they might be able to name their number and name their final score tonight in this game. I'm not seeing any life, any pulse out of TCU. And this COVID or this little mini hiatus they've had, not playing in over 2 weeks, certainly not going to help their cause tonight in terms of being in rhythm facing this Kansas team. So I'd only look to lay the points. In fact, I will for something. I'll bet something on Kansas here, -14.5. It's certainly a get-well spot after 3 straight losses against good competition, and they've got the ultimate doormat here to maybe beat up on tonight facing this TCU team who've just been nothing short of pathetic in their last 3 games. Conor, what do you think? TCU, Kansas.
I'm with you. I think it's a bounce back spot, just like it was, 4 or 5 games ago when they beat him the first time. It's a lot. You got, it's 14.5, but I'd only look one way in this one, and that's the lay with Kansas. And that's about it. Nothing on the total. Yeah, their games have gone over. So I maybe lean the over 126. Kansas kind of been an over team so far this year. So I looked that way, but not big, but only one way to look. I don't want points with TCU here. Nah, pass.
Yeah, exactly. Pass for sure. Murray State hosting Tennessee State They're betting Murray State like this is the team that made the NCAA tournament a few years ago. 10 up to 12. 12.5 even starting to show up here in this game. Is Steve Prom still there? I don't think so. I think he's been at Iowa State here the last couple years. Total 136 in this one. That's when Murray State had their best teams when he was the coach. That's why he got the Iowa State job, because of the great performance he had as the head coach there. This is not a great Murray State team by any stretch of the imagination. And if you've been betting this team, you're losing your ass right now. Like I'm serious. 1-8 against the number. In 1-7 ATS, their last 8 line games. I mean, they've covered 1 point spread in their last 8, and that was against Tennessee Martin, the dregs of the Ohio Valley Conference. That's it. So their only point spread cover was against the worst team in the conference. Other than that, what have we seen? They lost straight up to P. They lost straight up to Belmont. They lost outright as double-digit favorites to Moorhead. They lost by 6 at Eastern Illinois. They beat bad Tennessee Martin. That was the one win and cover. Actually, they beat Tennessee Tech in their last game, but didn't cover. 13.5 point favorites, won by 9. And then we were on Jacksonville State. I know it. Last Thursday on this show, Conor and I, you and I, we took Jacksonville State against Murray State. Murray State was 7.5 point home favorites. They lost outright, 85-82 against Jacksonville State. Look, I'm not saying Tennessee State's a phenomenal team by any stretch of the imagination, but you look at their recent results. He lost by 2 to Edwardsville, lost by 4 to SEMO. Not great losses because they're mediocre teams, but they were in the games. You look at them as underdogs. They beat Eastern Illinois as a dog the last time out. They lost by 1 at Jacksonville State as a 6.5 point dog. Their last attempt as underdogs, even against Austin P. They were underdogs. They didn't cover, but they were only getting 6.5, and they lost by 9. So even in that game, they held the game to single digits here. I don't get this. I don't understand this for the life of me. The love, the infatuation, the obsession in the betting markets with Murray State. The racers, what racers? You're getting run over with the Murray State racing train right now if you've been betting this team the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm on Tennessee State here, and I'm not even going to rush to bet it. I'm going to see if maybe even this line climbs even further. But I'll be on Tennessee State at whatever number they end up being. 12.5 is fine with me, even if it doesn't go up any further. But I don't understand this line move, not one little bit. C-Mac, what do you think?
I'm with you. I'll keep it short. We've been on, I know I have, and you have too, Tennessee State's played better a bit lately and covered a few. This is wild. Yeah, I'd wait too. I'm surprised to see a few 12.5s, like you said. I'll wait a little bit. It's Tennessee State. I just can't believe Murray State should not be favored by double digits. No way, no how. If they were favored by 7, I'd be on Tennessee State. They're just not playing good basketball right now. And like you're saying, I don't know what they're looking at. So Tennessee State, take the points with them.
Yeah, I know. It's strange. I mean, I think there's still people that are anchored to full season power ratings and see that Murray State talent-wise is double digits better than Tennessee State on their home floor, but they're not playing like it. That's the thing. They are not playing like it. And if you're just going by numbers and you're not going by the eye test, tells me this talent is not as good as people think they are when you look at them. Like, they have lapses in games. They go on ice cold droughts offensively. It's happened every game recently for Murray State. And that's a problem when you're laying 12.5. Anyway, Moorhead State, Jacksonville State. This is a good one here. We've got Jacksonville State, 3.5 point home favorites, 131 the total. This is a pass for me because I love both of these teams. You look at them recently, straight up in ATS. Both of these teams are on fire straight up and against the spread, both of them. And I've cashed at times with both Moorhead State and Jacksonville State in their recent games. Moorhead beat them earlier this season. So to me, there's a little revenge angle here for Jacksonville State. For that reason, I'll lean slightly to Jacksonville State, but not in love with laying 3.5 when I've been cashing as dogs with them in some recent games, especially against Moorhead. Moorhead's just been a point spread machine themselves. So it's two teams I'd rather bet on than bet against, which means I'm staying out of the game. C-Mac, what's your take?
Me too. Right with you. Both these teams have made money for me the last couple weeks. I like Jacksonville State, how they're playing. No way I want to lay points, especially 4 with them right now to Moorhead. So it was a quick pass for me. Yep. The only way I'd look is to Moorhead taking the 4 if I'd bet it. But I like how Jacksonville State's been playing. So, like you said, quick pass for me. I'll have to get another one when these teams aren't playing each other. Hopefully, maybe next week.
Yeah, exactly. Which probably our chance. You know what we do? We bet whoever loses this game because they're going to be
Yeah.
undervalued probably.
Mm-hmm.
Bet whoever
Yeah.
loses this game, you're going to get some value in the next game and get right back on the train with both of these teams. Gonzaga and San Diego State. Gonzaga 27 and a half point road favorites. 156 the total. Gonzaga games are pretty much now games I don't really get involved in now because you're always worried that they just take their foot off the gas. They've done that time and time again in the second half. If you're going to look at a Gonzaga game, you've got to look first half, or if you like the over, I think you have to go first half with that as well. We've really seen these games drag to a halt, in the second half when Gonzaga's up against a team that they can outman. And there's certainly some injury issues with Hughes and Masalki out for San Diego that are worrisome going into this game. And other than a win against a hideous Portland team, it's been tough sledding for the Toreros. They've lost pretty much every other game in the conference, Santa Clara, San Francisco, Cal Irvine. But you look at Gonzaga, all of a sudden the numbers have caught up to them. They've only cashed one ticket in their last 4 games, 1-3 against the spread. The numbers have caught up to where this Gonzaga team is, and best team in the country, you could probably say. So you're not getting much value with Gonzaga these days. You almost have to hold your nose and take San Diego or nothing in this game, but I just don't because they have not matched up well, the Toreros, recently against this Gonzaga team. So it's a pass for me. Conor, what about you?
Yeah, pass. There's no way I want to bet any part of this game. Like we've talked about it, maybe you take Gonzaga first half. It's just gotten way out of control. You got to hope they win by over 30, which they can, but they can just, especially Gonzaga. You saw Baylor; they played their guys like all the way till the end, and they were up 40-3 last night. Gonzaga's laid off a little bit, so I don't know. It was a pass for me. I don't want any involvement in it, but if people like it, like you said, Gonzaga first half, San Diego's got a few injuries. They give up a ton of points and maybe look towards the over 156 here.
All right, next up, we've got Eastern Illinois, Tennessee Martin, EIU taking money, which doesn't surprise me because Tennessee Martin's just been so pathetic. Eastern Illinois, 8-point road favorites, 144 the total in this one. Yeah, you know what? Eastern Illinois is the only side I could look at, but you're talking about a team that's 1-7 straight up on the road. That's straight up, okay, on the road, 1-7, and now they're laying 8 in this game. I understand the infatuation with betting against Tennessee Martin because they've been absolutely god awful, but still, nevertheless, Eastern Illinois is in their own free fall, 0-6 straight up, 0-6 against the spread. I don't know how the hell they were 7 last or the other night against Edwardsville. Remember, I took Edwardsville in that game against Eastern Illinois, and Edwardsville got it done. In that game.
Won outright.
Edwardsville won 87-74. It wasn't even close. Wasn't even a sweat that game, taking Edwardsville plus the points. Eastern Illinois, I can't trust them. I know Martin's bad. Martin is coming off a win, first win in conference play against SEMO, 69-66 at home. The problem is I don't know if I trust them to bounce back, but I'm not in a rush to lay 8. I understand Martin is not very good. They did win their last game, which is a positive. It's these kind of teams that win a game, though, they're bad teams. Sometimes that's an anomaly when they win the game and then they revert right back into playing poorly again. I've gotten bitten at times in the past by, this horrendous team finally wins a game. Maybe the light is going to shine for them, and now the worm is going to turn and they're going to go on a run. Not usually when it's a bad team like Tennessee Martin. So it's a tough game. I don't want Tennessee Martin, but I cannot lay 8 with Eastern. So it's a pass for me. C-Mac, what's your take here?
Yeah, pass for me too. If Martin had played any bit better, they won that, game, their last game, but they are not a good team. They're the only side I look plus 8.5. I mean, Eastern Illinois, I can't, they're favored by 8.5. It's just wild. It'd be dog or pass, and I'm passing this game. So UT Martin or pass for me. That's just a lean.
All right, Belmont taking on Austin Peay. Early in the season, this was going to be one of the best games of the season in conference play. It's still a pretty interesting game, but Austin Peay's kind of underachieved. I'll tell you who hasn't underachieved, Belmont. Holy mackerel, what a run it's been for this Bruins team. Casey Alexander was a hell of a hire. It's a tough act to follow. Rick Bird. Bird is the word. Well, they finally they picked Casey Alexander out of Lipscomb, and it's a perfect fit. He plays fast, 3-point shooting, same type of offense that he ran at Lipscomb that he brought to Belmont, and it's what they're familiar with from the Rick Bird days. So it was the perfect fit, and you're seeing Belmont just be a terror here in conference play. Their last 8 games in conference play, 8-0 straight up, 7-1 against the spread. And the only non-point spread cover was an 11-point win. Okay, that's basically, so you look at their margins too, by 13, by 31, by 11, by 20, by 21, by 7 at Jacksonville State. That was their slimmest margin of victory in conference play, that 7-point road win at Jacksonville State. By 13 against Eastern Illinois, and then Edwardsville, that 114-62 win in their last game. This is just an exceptional basketball team offensively. And what's even more impressive is they're bringing the defense to go with it. You know, only one team has gotten above into the 70s in conference play against Belmont, and that was Jacksonville State, who are a pretty good team, or at least a good team in this conference. That's it. So Austin Peay, on the other hand, it's hard to really tell if this team's truly good, because you look at the results. They beat Tennessee State. Was that their best win? Murray State, but Murray State hasn't been the same. And then other than that, they lost by 30 in the first game against Murray. Austin Peay lost by 5 against Eastern Kentucky at home. They lost by 6 against Jacksonville State at home. They only escaped by the skin of their teeth against a weak Tennessee Tech team. Lost 1 by 3 at home as 12-point favorites. I'm not sure that Austin Peay is ready for this beast that Belmont is right now. I understand people taking the points here. Austin Peay opened, 7.5-point dogs. It's down to 5 now. I haven't bet it yet, but now I'm starting to circle back to maybe laying the points here with Belmont. I mean, I just think there's to me some question marks about whether Austin Peay can step up and face Belmont right now with the way the Bruins have played. And Austin Peay's underachieved, flat out. I thought this team would be every bit there with Belmont and the other teams in this conference, and they've been way too inconsistent for my liking. Lean Belmont for me. Conor, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, those close losses you're talking about, I mean, yeah, this Austin Peay team I don't think they're very good at all. At 7, now that it's dropped, I'm with you. It's not my favorite look, but I think it's value. And if this goes down to 4.5, I really like it more. 4.5, 4. I think it stays at 5. It might get to 4.5. But Belmont's just a superior team. They have the better players right now. Home or away, Austin Peay hasn't been good at all this year. I know they've been favored a lot of their games, but they've escaped games, all these games. Eastern Illinois, all these teams, you think they should win by 10 or 15. So I think it's Belmont. It's kind of a short price. As I talked about, these short road favorites kind of scare me at this number. We got 2 of them today, but Bradley and Belmont, couple B's, but I'm on both of these today. All right, at 5. So I'm going with Belmont.
Yeah, I'm interested now with the number deflated down to -5 now. SIU Edwardsville, Southeast Missouri State next up. SEMO 2.5-point home favorites, 140 the total in this one. Edwardsville, I'm leaning in that direction again with this Edwardsville team, to be honest with you, the Cougars, to get the job done again. I mean, this is another one. These are 2 like middle of the pack Ohio Valley teams, although I think that's a little bit kind when it comes to talking about SEMO. Because you've seen SEMO really scuffle the last few games. In fact, their last 10 games, they just won 2 of them, 2-8 straight up in their last 10 games. Now, they have covered half of those games, 5-5 against the number, but the wins were Tennessee State on the road, and the other win was both of them were Tennessee State. So you just makes you think maybe they just have a matchup thing going on against Tennessee State winning those 2 games. But all the other games, it's pretty damn hard to lose to Tennessee Martin twice. Guess who lost to Tennessee Martin twice? This Southeast Missouri State team. That's who, including in the last game. And Edwardsville, let's give them some credit. What we've seen out of Edwardsville. Beat Moorhead on the road, who are on fire right now, and they went on the road and beat them. Beat Tennessee State outright as road dogs. Okay, they got their ass kicked by Belmont, but everybody's getting their ass kicked by Belmont here in the conference season. And then they bounced back strong and kicked the snot out of Eastern Illinois. 87-74, and I was on Edwardsville 2 nights ago in that one. I think it sets up well. Both of these teams had to play Tuesday night. They're playing again, so there's no scheduling advantage either way. I think there's an argument to be made. Edwardsville's the team in better current form right now. Give me Edwardsville here, plus 2.5. I think they can win the game and straight up on the scoreboard tonight. Connor, what do you think? Edwardsville, SEMO.
I agree. I think two teams in different directions. SEMO shouldn't be laying any points right now. So I got a small play with you, +3 on Edwardsville, and I think they could win it outright. I don't know if I'll play it money line, but I think they could flat out beat Missouri State.
All right, UAB, Middle Tennessee State. UAB 10-point road favorites, 134.5 the total in this game as we go back to Conference USA. UAB, very good basketball team. It's been a nice conference season for them, 12-2 straight up overall on the season. You look at their conference record so far, their only losses so far was at Charlotte in the second of a back-to-back, 70-55. Other than that, it's been a really good conference slate for UAB. And what's been pretty impressive about UAB is that, you know, they usually have to win with a slow pace and some defense, but they're shooting the ball better now. We saw against Rice 78 and 86 points scored in those two games. In fact, they've shot the ball much better, to be honest with you, in recent games. That could carry over here against Middle Tennessee State, who are a little bit of a suspect at times defensive team. What's been shocking about Middle Tennessee is that they've been just hideous offensively in their last 4 games, all straight up in ATS losses to Southern Miss and Western Kentucky. 18 of 61, 21 of 58, 25 of 55, 18 of 63. That's some really dreadful shooting results in some of these games. But I think there's a chance that they're going to be able to get their offense going a little bit more here tonight against UAB. You look at the last 2 head-to-head meetings that these teams played last year. You had 83-72. You had 79-66. Those games went over the total, and those totals were higher than this one. So I do think there's actually a decent amount of value over the total here. It's probably going to be close to the number because we know UAB sometimes has a really good defense, and Middle Tennessee struggled offensively, but there's some things that point to Middle Tennessee State that you can't keep shooting this poor for this long forever. And I think back on their home court, you know, they're going to end up putting forth a better offensive night here against this UAB team. So, and again, you're getting a lower total, and both meetings last year with these teams, the Blazers and the Blue Raiders, went over the total, and they were higher totals than this one. So I do think the over can get there, sitting in this 134.5 range. What do you think, Connor, with UAB MTSU?
Yeah, I don't have a real feel on the total. I would just have a small lean. I haven't bet this one. I have a small lean with Middle Tennessee State. I don't love it, but at home, they got to shoot better, and you're catching 10.5. I haven't bet it yet, but it's just a small lean with Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, good stuff. A lot of people in the chat, almost 100 live views. Jack Reinhardt, Kylie Reynolds, Mally. Good to see you, Mally Mal, in the chat. Familiar face. Starchild, Alex Ramirez, of course, is with us. Jansen's with us regularly. Bloodthirsty MMA, BZ Baby. All of these people that are in the chat. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us. 17 Clipper, Fat Wally, everybody else. Great turnout in the chat today. Weber State, Idaho. Weber, 11.5-point road favorites, 145 the total in this one. Obviously, as you can tell, there is a huge difference between these two teams. Idaho is hideous, one of the absolute worst teams in the country. There's no question about that. Haven't won a basketball game yet. 0-11 straight up, 3-8 against the spread. However, they're now catching a lot of points here. You know, unfortunately, I still don't think I trust them to take them. You know, they lost by 20 and by 14 against Northern Colorado at home. Weber State probably just as good as Northern Colorado, if not a little bit better. I would only look road favorite here, but now the prices are getting pretty expensive to bet against Idaho, but with good reason. Lean Weber, but pass for me. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a lean. It's a big number for Weber. They're the way better team. I got a small lean. I haven't played it yet, but I might. Is on the over. I know Weber State's going to score enough. I just am kind of getting there if Idaho can get enough of theirs, because I think this one can get up and over the 145. You there, brother? You on mute?
Yeah, we've seen Idaho definitely have their offensive struggles. That would be the concern I have. But Weber State could definitely get into the 80s here. It would be a question of can
Yeah.
Idaho get you enough to get you over that total. Houston, Tulane. Houston 17.5-point road favorites, 127.5 the total. I really worry about this Tulane team offensively tonight going up against Houston. It's a lot of
Me
points.
too.
I mean, look, that's why this part of the season gets tricky. The teams that are good, odds makers know it. The teams that are not so good, odds makers know it. So you've got to get a little bit more creative in your approach because and Houston, they have covered 4 straight, but have they covered 7 or have they laid 17 yet on the road this year? I don't see it. In their other road games, they were laying 12, they were laying 7.5, they were laying 9.5 in conference play. Now they're laying 17 here on the road against Tulane. And Tulane at home is a little bit more, I guess, reliable at times, trustworthy than they are at home. Remember, they covered against Memphis at home. They've won a lot of games on this home floor. It's just too many. I'd honestly take Tulane if I knew Ron Hunter was on the sideline, but he's away. He's battling COVID-19 now. That hurts a little bit when you're trying to prepare for a team this good. It's just I'd like to take Tulane because it's a lot of points for Houston, but Houston at the same time has found ways to make these numbers look small and still cover these large double-digit chalk prices. So it's really a tough one. I left it alone. Conor, what's your thoughts here with the Cougars and the Green Wave?
Yeah, I've left this one alone as well. I took it last time. It was January 9th. I thought this 17.5 was enough with Tulane. And Houston won by 21, 71-50. I see it kind of similar. I don't know if they get that many points today. I lean still even at 127.5 towards the under a bit. And yeah, I'd like to grab the points with Tulane. I mean, it's a ton. They're at home. It's just a lean to the points. I mean, Houston's a great team. The defense is smothering, top 10 team. So it's tough. I don't know. I might get to the window with Tulane. I just looking back, I see Houston and their defense just suffocating them, and them not be able to score. So that like goes in my mind before make a bet. I'm like, shit. All right, calm down. All these points, check yourself. So it's just a lean to when you get to 18, that's a lot. As a home team too. So just lean with the points with Tulane.
Yeah, of course. You got to go back to some old school hip hop days. Chickadee, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, wreck yourself.
You're gonna have some issues. It's good advice, no question about it. We've got Sacramento State, Eastern Washington. We've got EWU 9-point home favorites, 141, 142 the total in this game. I think Eastern Washington can win and probably cover. Maybe I'll have a small bet on Eastern Washington. I think it's a terrible matchup for Sacramento State because when they struggle, it's because of at the offensive end. They don't play fast. I think Eastern Washington, if they dictate tempo and get out and run, they're really going to be able to win this game potentially going away. And they are arguably, the best team in the Big Sky, one of certainly. I just think it's a tough matchup for Sacramento State. And I don't know if I fully trust Sacramento State. They are coming off one of their big wins of the season against Montana in overtime. It was a thrilling game. They had to extend themselves. It feels like a big bounce type of game following a win like that for this Sacramento State Hornets squad. So I like Eastern Washington a little bit, laying the 9 here at home. That's a really good team. Conor, what do you think here? Sac State, EWU.
Yeah, nothing on this one. A pass. Eastern Washington's way better, but Sacs, they played well lately. Better than I thought they'd be. If I had to make a free bet, I'd take the points with Sacramento, but I didn't love this one. Eastern Washington is just a way better team. I think they can name their number and cover this, but I could see it getting tight. I've just been surprised by Sacramento's play. I've watched a few of their games, and they've been better than I thought they'd be.
All right, next up, we've got, as I see here, Air Force San Jose State. This is your St. John's DePaul game of the night for me. I want no part of either side. Air Force, 4.5, 5.5 point home road favorites, 143 the total. Money's come in on Air Force. Air Force has shown a pulse at times. I don't know if I can say the same about San Jose State, so I understand why they're taking money. I just don't want to lay any points on the road specifically with Air Force. San Jose State, to me, can't back them right now either. So this was an easy stay away from me. Conor, how about you?
Yeah. Lay points on the road with Air Force 5.
No.
Oh, hell no. Pass. Yeah, that was hell no. Quickly.
Yeah. And then San Jose State, the idea of taking them is pretty
Yeah.
bad too. So that's why two bottom feeders in this conference. Yeah, definitely passing on this one. Yeah, the under perhaps, but the problem is I don't trust either defense, especially San Jose State. I mean, they give up 70s and 80s for fun. The question is, can Air Force get there? Stanford, Arizona, Pac-12 action. Arizona, 8.5-point home favorites, 142.5 the total in this one. Pretty impressive win for Arizona. This smells like a little bit of I don't want to say flat spot for Arizona, but I worry a little bit about laying 8.5. Like Stanford, they've had to deal with obviously a lot of personnel issues. We know that this Stanford team, they've had obviously the little disruption they had last week because of COVID-19 issues around the team. I know it looks like Dejon Davis, Zaire Williams out for this game tonight against Arizona. And I understand all the money flocking in on Arizona because of that. But it's getting up there a little bit. And we have seen, Stanford, the fact that they gutted it out and beat UCLA in overtime with all this personnel issues tells me they're still playing hard. They're still connected. They're still locked in. All these issues surrounding the team right now. And to beat UCLA at overtime, that says something. I'm not in a rush to lay 8.5 with Arizona here. I'm looking at maybe taking Stanford if this line creeps up any higher. Connor, what's your take here? Cardinal, Wildcats.
I'm with you. Davis and Williams, those guys being out is in the back of my head here. But even if this gets to 9, or 9.5, I still think they're just not as deep. But I haven't been impressed with Arizona. Not really at all. Especially early on. They didn't cover games at home, the spread. So my leans with Stanford. If this gets up another half point or more, it's just a lean. I might get there tonight. I think they could be scrappy and stay in this one. We hope so. They got a couple, older guys. Those young guys are the guys that are out, Williams, the 5-star player and all that. So hopefully these guys can step up and keep it close. So I got a lean with Stanford.
Arizona State, somehow, 8-point favorites tonight against California, 143.5 the total. Just on principle, I have to bet some kind of bet on Cal here, +8. I know it's obviously, not a great Cal team, but look, Arizona State, I think the writing's on the wall now. This team is not going to be a tournament team. They've woefully underachieved considering the talent that they've got on this team. And Bobby Hurley, the heat's going to get turned up on him pretty soon. This is a pretty pathetic season considering the expectations people had for Arizona State coming into the season. They've now lost 6 in a row, 1-5 against the spread during that span. It's been a rough go for Cal too, but they've hung in there the last few games. UCLA down to the wire, lose by 4, cover the number in an 8-point defeat against USC, getting 8.5 in that game. They got to show they can do it on the road, and we know on the road they've had some ugly games. They lose by 9 to Oregon State, 13 to Oregon, 29 to Colorado. They did beat Utah on the road, 72-63 though, and that's what really started this little resurgence here for Cal. 3 straight point spread covers going into this game, and believe it or not, they're getting healthier too. You look at all the players that have been banged up for Arizona State. They've had Remy Martin in and out for injuries and personal reasons and all this stuff. And to me, I saw this team basically, I don't want to say the Q word because it's such a harsh thing to say about any team, professional or college, but a little quit in Arizona State's game the other night against Arizona, the rematch. I thought for sure after they lost the heartbreaker against Arizona, the buzzer, that, hey, we're going to storm back strong, fire back strong against our rival and really try to avenge that defeat. And they laid down and they got their ass kicked in the first half, and they got down by such a big margin. It was too much to dig out of. Give me Cal here, +8. I'm just going to – Arizona State to me doesn't look like a team that has any business in this kind of price range. Connor, what do you think here? Sun Devils, Golden Bears.
I'm on Cal here. I think it's too many points. I just think Arizona State shouldn't be favored this many at home. So I got to take the +8 with Cal.
As simple as that. They have Matt Bradley on the floor, and Cal's always a little bit of a better team when he's available to them, and he is for this game tonight, and he's returned the last couple, played well for them. New Mexico and Fresno State. Fresno State 6.5-point home favorites here, 128.5 the total. This is again two, bottom half of the Mountain West teams facing off here, the Lobos and the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, you look at them at home, they've actually done their best work recently at home. It's on the road they've been absolutely dreadful, but at home they won and covered as big favorites against San Jose State. They beat Wyoming, which was a pretty impressive win. You look at New Mexico on the road, it's been a struggle for them away from home, blown out by Boise, blown out by UNLV, and then, of course, they split somehow with San Jose State. The numbers come down a little bit here with the New Mexico Lobos taking some money here. The numbers come down to 6.5. Now that it's 6.5, I've got some interest in Fresno, but not enough to be laying 6.5 with them. But they have at least put their best foot forward at home. New Mexico hasn't traveled well. Lean here is to Fresno for me. Connor, how about you? New Mexico, Fresno State.
Yeah, it's a small lean to Fresno. They're just two bad teams, and I don't like laying. Fresno's played a little bit better, but I just don't like laying this points with them. It's just a lean. I haven't bet this one, but I'd roll with Fresno if I had to. Just 6.5. I just saw Fat P likes the first half. Maybe look that way, -3, 3.5, but it's just a lean for me.
Yeah, someone in the chat liking Fresno first half, not a bad way to go. Definitely, I wouldn't talk you out of that one. One game on the added board, and I have a bet on it. Asheville, Winthrop, 12-point home favorites, 155, 156 the total. I'm on the over here. It's going to be a fast-paced game, two good offensive teams. I've been on Asheville overs quite a bit. I've taken a couple Winthrop games as well, but you're going to get two teams that can shoot, two teams that will go up and down the floor. It should be an exciting game, plenty of points. I actually thought this total would be closer to 160. The fact that it's mid-150s, I thought, hey, we'll step in here with over 155 for me with NC Asheville and Winthrop. Connor, did you look into that game and anything you like there?
I didn't. I'm with you. This one should get over, but a lot of Winthrop games haven't gone over, It's been weird. And Asheville, they've been kind of – I thought there'd be a few more overs. I think it's a lot of points. And Winthrop's been hit and miss covering these big numbers. They're always -15, -12. They've covered a few, and they haven't. I've took them a few times this year. I think I'm probably 2-2 with them. So I had no real feel for this one. I passed on the side and total.
All right, good stuff. We've gotten through the Thursday college basketball. I'm just having one of those days. I forget to unmute. Holy mackerel. Anyway, on we go. Thursday card in the books. We've gotten through every game. We'll get to best bets in just a second. I had Wisconsin last night. They made it very more aggravating than it had to be, but they hung on against Maryland. We'll get to best
Ohio
bets.
State did not.
Yeah, no, they did not. That was very, very frustrating because I was on that side as well. Terrible second half from the Buckeyes against Penn State. Very fortunate to even hang on for the straight-up win. So we'll get to best bets in a second, but Connor, first, a word from our sponsors.
Yeah, everyone needs another book. Go to mybookie.ag at promo code PubSports. You get 50% off your deposit, credit or debit. You get 100% off your Bitcoin. Put 1,000, you get 1,000. Your minimum's 100, so you put 100 Bitcoin, you get 100. So go to mybookie.ag at promo code PubSports. Go to bulksupplements.com at promo code PubSports. You get 5 to 10% off your order. Get all your protein, creatine, all the amino acids, vitamins you need. Go to bulksupplements.com. And you need something to snack on. These things are really good. Go to builtbar.com. You get 20% off your order. They got coconut, double chocolate, mint brownie. They're good. Just hit promo code PubSports, builtbar.com. That's it.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, some people in the chat, Louisville, disappointing. Yeah, Jansen, they were. I thought they played well until, the last 5 minutes, and then it was all Clemson, and that was enough for Clemson to get that win. That's disappointing for Louisville. Louisville's kind of a team that I'm worried about a little bit, and I can't, seem to get away from most nights anyways. There are a couple lately I've avoided that second, being on that team that has that second half collapse. Unfortunately, we had it last night with Ohio State. I had it last night as well with Seton Hall. What an awful second half.
Yeah, I saw that.
They were up double digits. They had the game with the palm of their hands, and they end up losing to a Creighton. Creighton just has their number, and give them credit, but Seton Hall with issues, and now they got to fire back strong, or try to, against Villanova in their next game on Saturday. Although they took Villanova right to the wire in the previous meeting, so they'll be up for that one. But closing the door and closing the deal has been an issue with Seton Hall in recent games. Happened to them again last night against Creighton. All right, Connor, it's best bet time. What do you got for a Thursday night?
You go ahead.
All right, me first.
You lead it off.
All right, let's see. Where are we going to go?
Wait,
here?
I'll go real quick. I'll go. I was going to go Tennessee State. I love that one. Anyone out there? But I'm going with the revenge. I'll take Rutgers. Lay the 2.5. I mean, if you don't feel great, money line. I think they get it. Their revenge tonight against Michigan State. The only thing that worries me is those damn free throws. And I hope it's not close. I hope they win a comfortable one by 8-10. So Rutgers is my best bet.
All right, Rutgers minus 2.5 against Michigan State. That is the best bet for Conor Mack tonight in college basketball action. For my best bet, I'm going to go with. Let's see. I'm going to go with a total. I'm going to go with this UTEP UTSA over 145.5 here. I mean, to me, that's low for a Roadrunners game. They've found ways to get up and over that number. I think it happens again tonight, over 145.5 with the battle in Texas, UTEP, the Miners. Let's go mining for profits with this total, over 145.5. UTEP,
yeah,
UTSA,
I think you could get over.
Best bet. Tennessee State is certainly, that got consideration, no doubt, as best bet. That's definitely on the card. Cal, I like quite a bit now, +8 against Arizona State. So there's a bunch that I like, but we'll go with that total, UTEP, UTSA. That's the problem with best bet. And that's why I caution you, don't unload on the best bet. We put it out there because we think that's our strongest, but it's not always going to be a guaranteed winner. That's why we give you all our other plays on the card on the show. Spread the money out accordingly. Put a little bit more on the best bet, like I do. I put a little bit more on the best bet, but not like 5, 10, 100 units more like some people would foolishly. Don't do that. That's definitely, beep. That's right, Roadrunners. Hopefully we'll see that game go over the total tonight. Yeah, NBA, since people are talking a lot about the NBA and we have no show today, I'm on Houston. That's the only game I'm on so far. I got -3.5 overnight. I think it's gone up to 5. Houston's a team to ride right now. Wall's back. Oladipo's in the fold. They're playing good. I think they're playing with a chip on their shoulder that we don't need that James Harden guy. We can have a good basketball team here. And Portland stinks right now, and they're banged up beyond belief. Covington, Yusuf Nurkic, McCollum, go on down the list. Rodney Hood. I mean, go on down the list of the injuries for Portland, and they're not playing any defense. Houston, I like that side. Don't have anything else. I mean, I'm not laying points with Miami. They're a mess right now too. But Clippers are sitting everybody again, and you see, when the Clippers sit everybody, they don't win. They lost to Atlanta the other night, so that's a tough one. I kind of want to bet Phoenix too, even without Devin Booker, but they haven't played well without Booker. They just haven't. They lose to Denver twice. They lose to OKC last night as big favorites without him, back-to-back as well.
Back-to-back.
That's tough, that one. I want to back Phoenix because I do think the value's on their side, but with the Suns. But I didn't do it. The only thing I bet so far is Houston tonight in the NBA.
All right. Yeah, I'm on real quick. I'm on the same. I like the Rockets. I know one of the guys is sitting. I don't know if it's LeBron or AD. I've been taking the Pistons. They've been covering all year. A few games outright. I like it's dropping now. This isn't the best value. I don't know now. It's 6.5. I think it's a little low. I got a piece of it, 7.5. But I think one of them sits, and Detroit's played better at home. Lakers might win, but I think if you get it still, 6.5 would be the probably the end line here. Lakers might win, but I think Detroit, they've been scrappy here at home. I think they can hang in this one and get the cover against the Lakers.
Yeah, I definitely think spot-wise, it's Detroit spot for sure. There's no question. And those of you liking the under, I wouldn't talk you out of that with the Clippers and the Heat. Some people in the chat liking the under. So it's some NBA analysis for you right there, which is a reminder for me to tell all of you that we've got the NBA closing time show tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back on the air, Conor Mack, myself, and Ski Profit. breaking down the Friday NBA card. It's a big card in the NBA tomorrow. So looking forward to that show tomorrow. That's when we'll be on the air with you next here on Pub Sports Radio. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Thanks for watching Pub Sports Radio's College Basketball Closing Time Show. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific for the NBA Closing Time Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.